What's going on, everyone? This is RFBM, Raising the Financial Bar with Mar. And I have a reoccurring guest here, our boy Marcus. We had an episode previously. I was doing that money talk thing at the time, which was kind of the base where my podcast will go as well. But because I considered the podcast the thing more in person, I was like, well, let me make that distinction. But from now on, you guys heard it here. I haven't done an episode in a while, Money Talk or RFBM Podcast. We're just going to merge together and just do it that way because honestly, that's just a lot of work trying to navigate this. And besides, I want this to be able to go on. I pay a subscription every month. I haven't done an episode in forever. I'm going to put this on the episode. You can find it on iHeartRadio, podcast. Why did I think about that first? No insult to iHeart, but Apple Podcast, Spotify, all of that. But that's neither here nor there. So I have my friend here, Marcus. He's going to talk to us today about his, his continual journey through his musical process and how he's finding ways to profit off of his content. Just recently, one of his arrangements, how would you rather say it? Would you just call it beats regardless? How would you say it?
Yeah, just say beats to be just like real simple with it.
Yeah, okay. Arrangements. But one of his beats was recently selected as a part of a segment on TNT during the All-Star weekend.
Team, I think these guys did a great job.
This has been fun. 10 rounds worth, 80 players selected, including those 4 wild cards. And of course,
I mean, it was on during the NBA All-Star weekend. It had a special feature on there.
Yeah, man. And I seen it and I was like, wow, we're really making these moves, man. He really actioned on what he was talking about. It's been a while since our last episode. I was like, you know what? We were chopping it up the other day out here in Tampa. And I was like, hey, man, jump on and let's do another episode and tell them about your process because it's real empowering, even though it's not me. I really feeling like the man was like, yeah, I actually got a friend that's really making money off of his music. You know what I mean? So tell us a little bit more our process. And of course, give them a brief introduction about yourself as well, man.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess like a brief background on me. I'm a producer. I make music. Now I make music specifically for TV placements, movies, commercials, all that stuff. So I got my first placement on TNT during the NBA All-Star weekend this year. So that was really, really, really big just because for those that watched the previous episode with me on here, I was just going through the steps of how you get your music on television and even just like different ways that you can monetize your music, your content. But now to actually have it happen, there's actually like, all right, these steps actually work. So I mean, that's like just a little bit of background on me. And as far as like just a recent event that happened, I'm actually working on a new brief now. So just taking a little break from that. So
that's dope, man. And like I said before, it's just crazy to see the progression. This is, a little bit off subject. Well, not necessarily. Like when you have that drive and when you really believe in what you want to do, and granted, it's not going to happen overnight. I know that's a cliche statement that's said all the time, but really, this is not something that happens overnight. I don't even know how long Marcus has been doing music, but I know from when I known him, he's been on this path. And it's with life, with anything that you're passionate about or anything you're trying to earn money from. You have to be resilient. You have to be consistent, but you also have to utilize your skills in a way in which not everybody else is doing. A lot of people don't know about what he's doing. Everybody's trying to go about just getting streams. And then if you've seen our last episode where he was talking about how many plays you have to do to even get maybe minimum wage, it's not easy. So tell them a little bit more about the process that it took to actually get that placement during the All-Star weekend.
Yeah, man. So like you're saying, it's definitely not an overnight thing. It's really cool because the thing with music, you can really document your like progression, like your growth. So I say I really started taking this serious. Cause I formed the business at the beginning of 2021, and the business didn't really have like an identity at that point. Like, what we're gonna do music for artists, or we're gonna do it for TV shows, like sync stuff. Are we gonna do both of them at the same time? So ended up just focusing more on like the TV stuff, and that was I want to say maybe like end of May, early June. So from that point until February, end of February, well, All-Star weekend, that's when like that's like the time frame of how everything was happening for me. So I still have my music from the early months, June, July. The music from then to now, I would say the ranging is almost night and day, just because there's like different fine tunings. Now it's still me in it as far as just like, oh, you can hear the potential in the music. It was just that I needed the redirections because I got a lot of rejection from companies, people saying like, the music doesn't really fit what we're looking for, or it doesn't really fit the format of TV. So it's just a lot of like studying. So I studied. I studied the business as far as like the deal points, good deal points versus one that's like, maybe it's good, but maybe it's not so good, but it could offer potential placements. So that way you can leverage that in the future. I learned about composition arrangements as far as successful ones that's been on TV. Studying like sound selection is very key, very big, because reality TV, hip hop has a particular sound versus sports beats. They have a particular sound. Trailer music has a particular sound. Even though it's hip hop, everything has its own sound selection. Everything has its own rhythm to it. So it's just a lot of that was in the process of from June until February. And even now, like I'm still, continually doing it, but now it's all about expanding and getting other people on board. And that's like really the big thing. I actually just had a conversation with my co-founder of the company with me. We were talking about just like expanding and forming our own music library and pitching out music and pretty much like representing artists. So that's pretty much like what I've been working on lately in these past couple months.
Okay. And I noticed, I appreciate the transparency when you were talking about, it was almost like you're still trying to feel it out, trying to find that company identity, trying to see, not necessarily your niche, but more like your lane, like what's going to find to, so you can just focus on that area and continue to keep expanding. So I noticed that you talk about that expanding. Go on, tell me.
Yeah, I was gonna say like it's just because a lot of times, I mean, like businesses, they'll try to like, especially when they first start out, they try to do everything, right? It's like, oh, I can do this, I can do that. Oh, they make money over here. Let me go over here and try to like get my hand in that. And it's not always it's not the greatest option. Just one, because it's just diluting the value of, the thing that the service or the product that you're trying to sell or trying to provide. So really like for us, just narrowing down on sync stuff, it allowed us to really like just hyper focus on just this. It's not to say that I didn't work with artists and companies and stuff like that, like when I had time, but it's just like a lot of my energy when it came to creating was for this. And the reason why is because in the last episode, I was telling you about how a certain amount of streams can get you, a certain amount of money, like minimum wage or whatever. You got to get this amount of streams. Well, in this case, like sync licensing, you are pitching your music to people that are actually in the field of wanting to buy music. Like they're just not getting the music just to consume it, like, I hope these people like it. It's like, no, like they're actually in the marketplace of wanting to buy music for their shows, content creators, films, trailers, all that stuff. So it's like, to me, it just made more sense to do that because for the past, I want to say like 10 years, I've been trying to do the artist route, trying to like advertise to just like the everyday consumer. But with this way, it's just like, I know what they want. I know they're in the marketplace for buying music, and like the proof is in the fruit. So that's pretty much like why we wanted to go in the single licensing route.
Right. And it's, the craziest thing about that too, it's like it kind of gets you into I feel like, well, from my perspective, it seems like it gets you into the mind frame of, okay, now I don't have to go around necessarily just fishing to find what's going to take the hook. These people are already out here and it's already understood what's going on. Now I don't have to filter through all of that other things that would take more time out of my day per se, and I can actually just dig in. So, you want to elaborate further on that type of a sector that you're in, and how do you plan on? I noticed that you mentioned expanding with your co-founder with the business and the other artists. So expanding on that with what you're talking about with
expanding on the expansion.
Yeah, exactly. How exactly do you have a particular plan of how you're going to go about that? Are you going to follow like a lane that you're following, or how exactly do you see that coming together?
Yeah, I mean, well, not to get into too much of the details, but essentially like we'll be creating so I pitched my music to music libraries. So a lot of people, what they do is, because they don't have direct relationships with music supervisors, they pitch their music to music libraries. And what music libraries do is they're the ones that already have the relationships with these music supervisors. And music supervisors are pretty much just the people that select the music for shows, like your favorite show, commercials, all that stuff. Like all of them have music supervisors that pick this music and get it cleared. Essentially, like what we want to do is we want to create our own music library, one where we can represent our own music. So the music that I'm creating, I don't have to pitch it to everybody, and stuff like that. Not to say that I don't want to work with any other music libraries. I still will, but it's just with certain stuff, we'll be able to represent our own music. And not just that, we'll be able to represent other artists that, maybe they don't really care about the business side of stuff. So we'll be able to take care of that. We'll be able to pitch it for them. Obviously, like we'll have a deal in place, and then they'll be able to, like go from there and do their thing and be able to make money off of their intellectual property.
And see, that's where that gets really interesting. With me, when it comes to these type of things, I'm always have all types of questions. So, when you start, say you start adding a couple of artists in there, are you planning on drafting some type of paperwork? Like, hey, we have these clients ready for you, but this is going to be 20% here, or you're not going to pay them at all, like Birdman. I'm just kidding.
I mean, no, because that's the thing. It's like I've been reading. Let me see where I can find my book at. There's this book that I've been reading that I encourage. Like, if you really are serious about music publishing, in any facet, it doesn't have to be just composer. You can be a manager, music supervisor, just anybody, music lawyer. Like this book, it's called
All You Need to Know About the Music Business. Man, I have a friend, shout out to my boy Deodric. He told me that I need to read that book. Crazy. Like he reads all types of books, but this book in particular is the first I ever heard specifically to that. I need to. It looks a little different though. I'll make sure I'm getting the right version and they're not telling me.
Well, they update it. So they're constantly updating it. So it's like each year they're adding new things to the book, or maybe it's like every 2 years or so. But like this book right here is taught me so much as far as just music publishing, how deals are made from like an artist perspective, and then also from like the business side of stuff as well, and like all that stuff. So it's like I would say with the paperwork, what you're asking me, like we have certain deals in place. We haven't like settled on one thing specifically, but we're kind of leaning in one direction though, just because it seems the fairest for both. Because like we ain't trying to rip off artists, we want to make sure that you're taken care of, but at the same time, You know, like, yeah, it's a business at the end of the day, but we're not trying to rip people off. You know, we're trying to make sure that everybody eats and it's fair.
I like that. So it seems like you have a company model already in place, and honestly, all the teams is just executing it essentially.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like, we're pretty much in the first phase right now. We have a couple of stages that we want to go through. Like, we're going to modify the website. We're going to get that set up. We're going to get some contracts in place. We're going to make sure that our business model and like pricing and everything is right, not only from the artist side, but also from the consumer side. And then also just try to build up those relationships on the business side as well. So, like, you know, going to seminars, conferences, all that stuff. And that's pretty much like the game plan of what we're doing. And then, yeah, just trying to grow our music library and try to represent different artists that we believe in.
Right. I like that. And it's crazy. I was honestly going to ask about websites and, you know, pricing and everything of that nature. But the really interesting thing, not necessarily most important thing, how had you ever thought about just branding specifically like merch, you know, like maybe a hoodie or, you know, business cards or anything that nature? Have you thought about that, like the marketing advertising sector of it?
I've thought about it. And it's not to say that we can't or we wouldn't do it. Maybe not in the initial stages, just because we want to make sure that the brand is strong and reputable. But I think like down the line, like we definitely, Poetic Sound is the name of the company. So like we want the name of Poetic Sound to have some type of substance and weight to it, especially like if we're going to be selling merch. You know what I mean? Like we just don't want to throw the name or a design and say, hey, buy this. Like, who are you?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, it's just a matter of just us having representation, credibility to our name, and just like building some type of stake in the game.
I like that, man. I like that. Well, let me know, man. Even if you get a couple prototype, I'll wear one of those hoodies.
Hey, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna be out in the street rocking it.
Yeah, bro.
Like, hey, I get a lot of people on the compliments get like this hoodie I have on Have Hope, right?
Yeah,
like, I get a lot of compliments on like, oh man, like just yesterday I got like 2 compliments within like the span of 15 minutes. So I'm like, listen, just throw in like a saying or something like that.
Yeah, man.
Poetic Sound, boom, right there.
Yeah, I'm for real. Like seriously, like even that Have Hopes. Like, where did you get that? Did you make that hoodie, or is it just something that you
Man, I bought it from Target. I bought it from Target. Like I just saw it. I was like, I need a hoodie, and I love hoodies. Like I'm a fanatic of hoodies, and yeah, I saw it and I was like, I need to get it.
Yeah, man, I like that. I got to get my hoodie game back on too, but you know it's kind of hot now too. I'm only gonna wear it inside the house. Hey, that.
Hey, you're not gonna wear it outside. You're not gonna be like in high school. You know,
in high school, like, I could withhold.
We were wild.
Now I'm 27. I can't handle that thick hoodie stuff anymore.
Hey, we were wearing hoodies outside.
Crazy,
with
man.
Jeans on.
With jeans on, man. And I was one of those that had the gym shorts on, like a basketball game was going to pop up any minute.
You had the gym shorts underneath the pants?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. That was a wild time. I don't know like what possessed our minds.
I don't know, man. And I'm so embarrassed I'm thinking about it. I wish I had a time machine.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's funny.
But yeah, bro, it's definitely, yeah, whenever let me know. Even your album, the Keep Dreaming, a hoodie that just says Keep Dreaming, I will support it, bro. I will support it. So whenever you ready, let me know, man. Let me know. Even business.
I mean, it might have to happen soon, you know?
Yeah, man, I'm for real. I mean, shoot. Little hoodie. Target, Navy, the regular hoodies. And just get that stitched or get that screen printed. Keep dreaming. It's nice, man. It's nice, man. Even your album cover that you did. Yeah, this is a little off base. Of course, we're still talking all the business side of things too, but branding is very important in the business. And that's something that I think we both can agree with. So particularly for that Keep Dreaming project where, you know, you're kind of like out in the field and it really has that not idealizes. What's the word? I don't know, but it's cohesive. It goes hand in hand with the actual title. Like I can feel Keep Dreaming.
Kind of like in a dream state. Kind of
exactly. State. You get what I'm saying? So even that, like that has an identity. You get what I'm saying? That has an identity, and it's a part of you. But I could definitely see that on something. I could definitely see. I'm not saying people are just gonna walk around and, I mean, they could. But that's a nice album cover. You know what I mean? And so, who took the picture for that? Like, how did you go about doing that?
So my boy John Mackisback, y'all need to go follow him. Mackisback Images on Instagram. Really cool guy. I've been knowing him since my college days. Yeah. He started his photography business, and we had like collaborated on it. And he just took like a bunch of different photos and stuff like that. And then I got that back. And then a friend of mine, Natalia, she's a creative director. She's an art director. She's an artist. She does like graphic design stuff, but she also does like canvas work too. But I was talking to her about just the idea of the album. And she had came up with the concept of like, all right, let's have like a planet in the background, like in the sky or something like that, or like just have this type of orb around your body, around your figure, and like have like just these different things in space in the sky. So like it gives this dream effect, you know, like it's not where it's based on reality, because you can see, oh, that's a tree. Like I know what a tree looks like, but there's just like different, just small, tiny elements that gives it that that kind of surreal kind of feel. And I love surrealism. Like that's one of my favorite art forms. So it's like it gives it that kind of feel to it.
I like that, man. So now that we've discussed that, we've discussed, you know, the most recent, you know, you're a star now. Don't forget about me when you get that verified check.
Right.
Some of the business things we discussed. We even discussed marketing, branding, you know, the concepts behind this designing and everything, even for that recent album cover. So one of the last questions I get where we get further to the close, because, you know, we could go on hours and hours, but this podcast will be about 3-4 hours long. However, this is something that I think is very key. Cliche, because I know I did something similar like this before in the previous episode, but it's necessary because I did have people contact me and tell me, even though it's 160 something views, it was very good content. And I feel like this is a valuable question because I have a couple of friends that's in business or people that want to jump out and just go for it. It's not just music, it's just their passions overall. So specifically for music though, this is kind of a two-part question. If you had one tip that you would have for somebody that's trying to monetize their music and not really sure what lane to go through, what's a tip that you think would be the most important tip for somebody that's trying to monetize their music?
Like so if they want to
any type of way,
okay, yeah.
Heavy. I know it's a heavy question, but
well, there is so many different directions that that person can go in, but I would say initially, like, start with themselves, like yourself, like try to figure out what it is that you do best, and then from there try to figure out like what are different ways that you can go about monetizing that specifically. So like for me, like I make instrumental music, so a lot of times like people don't really, well, I mean, I can't say that now because a lot of people listen to lo-fi music and that's pretty much instrumental based. But for the most part, that's not taking up the majority of the market share of streams online, right? A lot of it is like pop music and stuff. So it's like, all right, I have to find a different avenue. And the avenue was sync. Like that's majority of the music on there, on shows, on TV, is a lot of it is instrumental music, like when you listen to it. So I would say for the artists, just like figure out what it is exactly that they do well, or not even just do well, but maybe that they enjoy the most, like just creating in general. And then from there, just like doing a research, Google research, trying to figure out like just different avenues. Like you can write for other people. You can, like, if you don't want to be in the spotlight, honestly, with composition stuff, you don't have to market yourself on Instagram. You know, like you can just, if you're included in the right circles, you can just be able to have work constantly. Like you don't have to advertise your music all the time. So that's one way. Like people in sync, a lot of people you may have never heard of, but they're doing pretty well in it, you know, and they don't even advertise themselves like that. So there's just different ways. And then also I would say like just studying the business, just so like you know your proper deal
That book
points.
again.
That book, I'm telling you, like that book is so good. And then also, I mean, I took webinars as well during the pandemic. So it was like I was constantly learning and investing into just my knowledge of the business. So that way, like I knew I had a good understanding. Like you don't have to be a lawyer and just know every single thing, but you do need to know the basics. Like you need to understand what a copyright is, what a master versus a publishing versus your publishing. Like it's two different things. And then like having ownership of masters, who owns that? How do you get paid from that? Or like, how do you get paid from publishing? You know, so it's just, and not even just that, how do you get paid from like sync stuff? You know, there's like 3 different ways to get paid on that. So it's just all different things. So I would say those like a few tips.
I asked a couple, my boy gave a whole lot of game, but it's free game, man. And honestly, the reason why I enjoy these episodes, especially particularly with Marcus, I know this is only our second one, but we have our conversation where we talk deeply about different things, especially music, because I could go on for days. I like talking to musicians, particularly that actually know music theory. No insults on other friends, because I know some people but it's one thing to understand how to compose music. It's another thing to understand the science behind it and also the business behind it. And that's exactly why I wanted to do another one of these episodes. This has so much crossover. I might start posting back content again on More Entertainment back when I was into the, you know, playing the music mixes and everything. I got to get back to something about my Mixcloud. It's not playing anything. I don't know what's going on with Mixcloud.
Man, you got to get back into that, man. You got to start DJing, you know, put some mixes up.
I know. You know, I'm all over the place, man. If you didn't know me, you would have thought I was some Snakes oil salesman. Like, damn, what don't this guy trying to do?
Like, dang, you need a pair of socks? I got a pair.
I got a pair of socks. I know a guy that knows a guy if I don't know it, you know.
Right.
But yeah, man, as always, it's been a pleasure. You're always saying that, oh, we can't end this without trying to add that last bit from our last conversation. So you want to talk about somebody that I know that you said that you that was one of, you know, your idols, or one of the musicians that you really appreciate their talent. We were talking about that documentary most recently. How do you feel about the documentary, and how do you feel about the way in which Kanye has been able to scale not only his music, but all of his other entrepreneur ideas and, you know, his projects overall?
I mean, honestly, I feel like, well, after watching that doc, it made me realize like why I really gravitated towards like him as an artist in the first place. And it was just like, he just had a vision, and he had all these different ideas and merged together. And I was that same kid. Like I was the kid that wanted to do all this different stuff. I mean, I had people that didn't necessarily believe that I would be doing music, you know. And even like when I had changed my major from music to not marketing but advertising, people questioned me about that or whatever. So it's just like I knew what I wanted to do, and like luckily I had parents that believed in me every step of the way, kind of similar to what Kanye with his mom. It was just like you just have that rock that's supporting you throughout it. And to see him like create a connection between the music, the personality, and then also like the other brands. Because y'all remember when he was on Breakfast Club and Sway in the Morning, you ain't got the answer, Sway. You ain't got the answer. Like all of that, right?
Yeah.
Because people were questioning him about like, well, why don't you just like connect with one of these bigger brands and like build from there and yada 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 and everything,
or do this on your own and everything, and
do it inside your own, or they were saying like just do it inside your own instead of like connecting with these bigger brands. And to his credit, it was just like people weren't really on the same wavelength. Like he just had a bigger idea, a bigger plan. And I mean, like his Yeezy, like the shoe apparel is, I want to say it's close to Jordan, because it's definitely not. Like I'm not going to say that. But as far as like it's impact and influence, I definitely think is there. Like, I don't think there's any other shoe
He's
outside
saving
of Jordan.
sneaker culture right now. You know,
Yeah.
it used to be the drops. I'm not the biggest sneakerhead, but where the drops, it was crazy for the Jordans, which is still crazy for the Jordans.
It still happens, right?
You know, you might hear a little bit of some LeBrons here and there and some Air Max, but the biggest thing is the Jordan culture. Yeezy culture has created its own monster of its own. It's really taking part in carrying sneaker culture. Like if Yeezy stopped right now, it'd be a real problem for not just Adidas, but Nike and everyone as well, because they're carrying, I feel like he's carrying the culture, and people don't realize when he was saying that, even though he wasn't necessarily just talking about, you know, he had his design, design ideals overall with like his clothing and everything of that nature. What he was doing had made perfect sense. Like the deal that he harbored, he's able to leverage his position and his ideas with the big prestigious company as Adidas, and actually able to, which other people weren't able to, get a piece of his pie and actually own and have royalties on. You get what I'm saying? People weren't. This is unheard of. This is different, and this is just a sneaker. Right. No, he's in all types of things. This is just a sneaker. So I mean, that's something. Taking all the personal opinions and political affiliations and everything, and if we're just talking straight business, that just makes. This is something that Jordan didn't even broker with Nike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, if he had like some type of back end deal, like some royalties on the sales and stuff like that, using his brand, his name, I mean, he'd definitely be sitting. I mean, he sits pretty decent, but like,
it'd be
he
better.
Definitely would have been a lot better. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think like having just having like everything just connecting together, the music, the clothes, the shoes, the sneakers, all that stuff, just everything. And his personality is very colorful. Like you just never know what you're going to get, right? Yep. So it's like it just adds even more to just either you love him or you hate him, but you're always going to be watching, you know?
Mm-hmm. That's a fact. And honestly, that really ties into it's like free advertising almost, because the more the name is mentioned, the more the product is mentioned as well. You know,
right. If he does that with every album. Like every album happens, he has a rollout, and there's always something going on.
And people always people always clinch on that hook every single time. Man,
every time.
Or this is, and it works. You know what I'm saying? This is not just, this is creative marketing. This is genius marketing. This is clever marketing, and every industry does it. He's found a way to scale it where it continues to not only push his music, but get him some real money. No offense to what he's done with the music, but this sneaker stuff.
No, this is real money. Like I saw a breakdown of Jay-Z's like investments, and music was not at the top of the list. You know,
Rockaware was a huge chunk. What was that 206 million, I believe? And people don't understand too. Yes, a lot of times selling things, you're given ownership, but when a lot of things aren't meant to keep. People sell this and then they go jump into another project, like Jay-Z with Tidal. He gets a stake, sells it, jumps into something else. At this point, these people do not need any of these things. They have the freedom to do whatever they want and jump into whatever projects they want to. Look at Rihanna. People begging for an album. The album's not getting that bread. Fenty.
I don't think she's ever going to release that album.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe
it's going to be like another detox.
Yeah. Well, everyone out here, I really appreciate when this comes out. You're definitely going to enjoy this. All the music enthusiasts and those of you that have listened to my podcast before, trust me, I'll be more consistent this year. I know I say this every year, but hey, at least I have content out here.
This is the year.
This is the year. This is the year. It goes to November. All right, y'all, next year, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
but you get it. As always, appreciate you, Marcus. You always coming through. You know what I'm saying? I told him let's do an interview. He's like, let's do it, man. I even said let's today. Usually nobody, when I say short notice the same day, they're like, he's like, shoot, let's do it. You know what I mean? So I appreciate that. I appreciate you breaking down the business side of things. This stuff is crucial. People got to understand these things. Even capital, I love to hear how you're going to do with when it comes to thinking about, you know, maybe business credit cards or financing or even equipment. Like, what are the things that are in mind or you have in place? We can always save that for the future as well. But we'll close it out with any last thing that you want to share before we close out the episode, Marcus.
I would say, I mean, appreciate you having me on the show. People can follow me at my music page. So Marcus Creates Music on Instagram. So it's going to be me just like creating, you know, just like different videos. Also just showing me the process of going through pitching music and stuff like that. So follow me on there, get some insights. Also just see me make some beats and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it, man. Appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it as well. And once again, everybody, if you enjoy this content, because it will be on YouTube as well, give it a like, comment, subscribe, share to anybody. I don't care if it's one person or 10. Share to somebody. Let them know. Even if you thought my interviewing skills was trash or you don't think that this was helpful enough, share. I don't care. I want to hear feedback. I appreciate feedback.
All right, let your baby brother watch this, you know?
Yeah. You know
somebody.
Somebody watch this. And as always, this is RFBM, Raising the Financial Bar with Mar. Peace, love, blessings. Take care. Y'all be safe out here.
Our own mind has to be changed. We have to change our mind about ourselves.
Because this world is such a gimme. Everybody back off. You know, everybody's like taught that from school.
I don't come to bow, you know. I come to conquer.